Hi guys, it's Vic, and this video is long overdue. It's going to be definitely a little ASMR-ish because my entire family is sleeping. And like all videos over the last year, a majority of my videos, if not all of them, have been audios because I'm never really prepared when I make videos. I'm going to put a disclaimer right now in the beginning that if anybody is sensitive to just like emotional stressors or things like that, you can feel free to click off and go to another video on my channel. I have been really wanting to make this video for a long time. Also, another disclaimer, any background noise, floors creaking, I'm walking around my house at night just doing what moms do, folding laundry, putting dishes away, what have you. So I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, but I felt that this was pretty crucial to make based on the fact that a lot of people are probably like, where has she been? She bought a ring light and a backdrop and she was going to come back and kind of revamp her ASMR channel. And I do still plan to do that, but like I said, this video is kind of 2 years overdue. And I just wanted to make it because for a majority of people that have been either subbed to my channel, following me, viewers, commenters, friends, I've been making ASMR since 2011, before I was even married. Many of you kind of, I want to say, watched me grow up. I mean, it's 2021. I'm 38 years old. I'm going to be 39 in November. And I started the channel in 2011. So do the math. I mean, it was what, 11 years younger, 28, 20, I don't know. I'm really bad at math. Anyways, so, I've always been very, very transparent on my channel about my anxiety. And I gave a couple videos with my labor stories with each of my children. As time has progressed, like now I don't unfortunately share pictures of my kids anymore because they're not little, they're not little infants. And their looks are changing and they're growing up, so for their privacy, and it makes me sad because my kids are beautiful. I don't show pictures of them. Excuse me, I'm yawning. It's really late. So many of you who have been following my journey have kind of like watched my life unfold from my bridal shower, my baby showers, getting married, having kids, and now here I am. I'm 38, about to be 39. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I've been married for 8 years. Been with my husband for 11 years. So it's been a journey. And the reason why I've always been so transparent is because even though I don't share things like pictures of my children and stuff like that, or the state that I live in, or too much private, information, I've always been very transparent with maybe what was going on in my life. And I do know that when I watch ASMR artists, like I know Maria, Gentle Whispering, she does a lot of the sassy Maja vlogs. And she talks a lot about, like for her, it was coming here to America from Russia and her journey into motherhood. And I feel more connected to the people I'm subscribed to when they talk about things that I think affect us all, especially women, because a majority of my, viewers are women or even moms, or maybe they're never going to have kids, or maybe they do have kids, or maybe they're thinking about having kids. And I think that the way things affect women kind of connects us all. And I'm not just talking about motherhood, I mean just in womanhood, sisterhood, if you will. So the reason why this video is long overdue is because there's a reason why I really haven't been making ASMR videos and really active on my channel, even though over the last 2 years I've really wanted to since I've had my daughter. And I'm not looking for everybody in the comment section to be like, oh my God, you're so not that I don't appreciate it, but I'm not looking for everybody to be like, oh my God, you're so strong, and oh, prayers for you. And it's not that I don't appreciate those kind words, but I'm not looking for sympathy. So let me just put it like that. I'm not looking for sympathy. So all this being said, I wanted to be very transparent with what's been going on in my life without getting too personal, because my hope is that you may be able to find a piece of yourself in my story, and it might help you to say, okay, well, if she's been doing it, then I can do it. And everybody goes through different kind of things. Everybody has different, I always say, everybody has their own traumas, their own childhood shit, just whatever. So let me start there. As you know, my daughter is 2 years old now, and I can't believe it. She's huge, and she is a terror, guys. Like, she started out as this little NICU baby. Let me tell you something. She is a terror. She's a doll, but she's a terror. And my son's 4. So, as you guys know, I had my daughter 6 weeks early, like 5.5, 6 weeks early, and she was in the NICU for 3 weeks. Matter of fact, we actually brought her home from the hospital October 13th of 2 years ago. So, like a couple days ago, 2 years ago, we were just bringing her home from the hospital. And I had no idea what motherhood, how it would change me. I had no idea how having a second child would change me from the mother I was to being just a mom of one. With my son, when he was born, I was experiencing everything for the first time. I was a new mom, and everything was new and fresh. And yes, it was sleep deprived and it was exhausting, but I was seeing everything for the first time. And I had the baby blues, which is a real thing. It's kind of like where you're a little weepy and stuff like that. But I had it for about 2 weeks after my son was born, and then it subsided and everything was great. And pregnancy with both my kids worked really, really well for me hormonally. I was with my son, for the whole 9 months, I kind of felt nauseous all the time. I never got sick. I just felt nauseous. But I felt good. I didn't have anxiety. I think all the extra hormones really worked in my favor. And then with my daughter, I actually felt amazing with her. I'm convinced that, like my mom, I carry a girl better. I never felt sick at all. And same with my son. I didn't have any anxiety. I was doing great. So after I had my daughter, and we're all adults here, so I'm going to be very transparent in saying this. I had a vaginal delivery with both of my babies. And typically, they say that if you're not nursing, which I did not nurse or pump or anything, my babies were bottle fed, so save your judgments if you have any, because I don't care. They're happy and healthy. So both my babies were bottle fed, and I started my first normal menstrual cycle 4 weeks after I gave birth. Typically with a vaginal delivery, you tend to bleed for a couple weeks after you give birth. It's not your period, it's just bleeding from a vaginal delivery. And then you get your period if you're not nursing or anything, usually the next month. So after I had my daughter, I noticed that when it got close to that time of the month, and I was good. After I had her, I was good. I was in the best mood. I was hyped up on oxytocin. Oxytocin is what your body produces naturally when you have a baby. It's all the feel-good hormones. And then I noticed that when I got my first cycle, my first period, 4 weeks after having her, my mood shifted. And that's probably another reason why I didn't want to make an audio video of this in case I start crying, because this is very hard for me to kind of talk about. But I want to, with the hopes that I might be able to help you guys understand why I haven't been making videos. And maybe, like I said, I might be able to help one of you or some of you ladies out there. So I noticed that when I got my first period after I had my daughter, things were not the same as when I had my son. I had a very, very hard time connecting with her in the beginning, and that's something a lot of new moms or second or third time moms are afraid to talk about, out of fear that they're going to be called a bad mom or they're going to be judged. And I remember feeling just not connected to her. I loved her, but truth be told, I didn't really like her. Newborn babies are kind of like when you go on a first date with somebody. You don't really know them. They don't know you, despite the fact you carried them for 9 months. They don't do anything. They just lay there and eat, sleep, drink, poop, eat, sleep, drink, poop, cry. It's kind of the same monotonous thing day in and day out. You're sleep deprived, your boobs hurt, your body hurts. You've twisted your insides literally inside out to bring this child into the world. And truth be told, you're kind of fucked up after you have a baby. Like your body, your hormones, your mind. For me, a lot of the emotional strain came from the fact that my daughter was 6 weeks early and I was at the NICU like every other day and trying to maintain normalcy at home. I had a toddler. Luciano, is 4 now, but he was obviously, 2 years younger when she was born. And it was tough. I felt very, sorry, this is where I get emotional because I love both of my kids equally, but I felt very guilty. I felt very guilty. And then I felt guilty for feeling guilty. I felt like having her, I never felt like it was a mistake. I loved her from the beginning, but I questioned, like, is this taking away from my son? What is this taking away from him? Because I was an only child growing up. So I knew nothing about siblinghood or sibling rivalry, nothing, because I was an only child. And that's probably why I wanted to give my kids siblings, because I knew how fun it was being an only child, but also how lonely it was not having that camaraderie with a sibling. So yeah, it started to kind of creep in around my periods that my mood shifted. And I became very enraged, very angry all the time. And not enraged like at my children or anything like that. A little bit weepy, but it was more angry. I was angry all the time. My daughter was colic. She's 2 years old, guys, and she still doesn't really sleep through the night, to be honest. I was just angry at a lot. I was sleep deprived. My husband, God bless his soul, slept on our couch with my daughter on top of him because she was the kind of baby that needed to be held for like 3 months after she was born, because he knew that I was stressed, I was sleep deprived, I was trying to take care of my son and a baby, and I was a mess. I was not happy with the weight that I gained. I was angry that my husband still got to live this normal life, and sorry, I get very emotional talking about this, but it feels good to get it out. It was really tough because I felt like he gets to go to work and engage with all these human beings and adults, and I'm home with 2 kids. And what I think made it much, much worse was the circumstances surrounding my daughter's birth, which maybe one day I'll go into. But my mom and I had a very, very, very bad falling out, as well as the whole rest of the family. So I went from having my mother my entire life, and she was there every step of the way after my son was born, to not having anybody when my daughter was born. And on top of that, she was fighting with me constantly. Any chance she got, she was fighting with me. It's a very long story, but I want to be very transparent. So I'm in the throes of a hormone imbalance, which I had just come to find out later. I was feeling a million different emotions. I was trying to balance a home, being a mom, just everything. And I had nobody. I guess I had my husband, but you know what? I think with motherhood, there comes a certain, I want to say, I'm going to be honest, there comes a little bit of resentment. Typically in a marriage, and typically when you become new parents, there's typically one parent that feels like they're always doing more, and it's usually the mom, especially if she stays home. And my husband is a hard worker, and he helps out, and he does dishes and laundry, and he's not one of those guys that sits around. But yes, I resented him a little bit. I'm like, his body stayed the same, nothing happened to him. Emotionally, he's fine, he's just tired, and he can function on 1 hour of sleep and I can't. And the kids need me for everything, even being bottle fed. You're their mom. And that's the choice I made when I chose to have children, absolutely. And I love being a mom. And one quote that I love, that I want to expand and put out there into the universe for my other moms, no matter how old your kids are: you can love being a mom, but you don't have to love motherhood 24/7. the two are not mutually exclusive. And I think a lot of moms are ashamed to admit that. There are days I'm ripping my hair out. So, where I'm going with all of this is for the last 2 years, as I noticed, like I said, around the time of the month when my periods would come, my moods would completely shift. I went to my OBGYN and told them that something was not right. They told me I had postpartum depression, and I did learn that postpartum depression necessarily is not always depression. It can be anger, hostility, rage, sadness, highs, lows, just everything. So they diagnosed me with postpartum, and it made sense because I was constantly on an emotional roller coaster. And then as more time went on, I started to discover that the mood swings and the incessant rage and not being able to control my mouth and yelling at my husband and whatever I was feeling, on top of everything that was going on with my mom, became worse each month. So thankfully, a very good person, I'm not going to name her, said to me, I think you have PMDD, which is called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's probably the most severe kind of PMS you can have, and believe me, ladies, it is real. I don't know if it only comes from having babies or if you can just have it in general. I'm not a doctor. But I started researching. I researched my ass off. And I went to my OBGYN and I said, look, it's not your fault. I think I've been misdiagnosed. This is what I think I have. And I'm drowning. I am drowning. I mean, I am not, nor have I ever been, and I pray I never will be, a suicidal person. I've never had depression. I've just always solely struggled with anxiety. And the PMDD amplified my anxiety times a million. On top of all this, my son, who is still going through adjustments over the last 2 years, developed anemia. He had to be put on anemia meds. Then you have my daughter, who was just kind of, I love her dearly, but she was a miserable baby. And then on top of that, my husband and I had a wedge in between us because of everything that was going on. And then you have my son, who doesn't really like his baby sister and is still kind of mean to her, and we're still working with his behaviors. So over the last 2 years, I have been deeply, deeply struggling with PMDD. I decided that an antidepressant was not for me, and that's just my choice. I didn't want to go on them. I didn't want anything to do with them. So I recently went back on the birth control pill, and it seems to be doing its job. Yaz birth control is, I think, one of the number one birth controls for PMDD symptoms. We had talked about having a third baby, but I said the only way that's going to happen is once I get this hormone stuff under control. And if the pill works for the PMDD, I'll know next time to go on it after I have a third baby, because we always wanted 3 kids. I said we will not have a third one until we get everything straightened out with our son and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been rough, and I have been incredibly overwhelmed. I told my husband that there are days I don't even know how I'm still standing, and I put on a smile and I do what I have to do every day. And unfortunately, some days it's really not my best. It's not even close. It's been a struggle. It really, really has been. And the kind of mother on the bad days that I feel I am, in a million years, I feel like that's not the kind of mother I wanted to be, because I have my own unhealed traumas with my own mom. And oftentimes when you have babies, I think a mirror kind of goes up in front of your face, as if you are kind of looking at your own childhood or your own unhealed wounds, and you're kind of forced to come face to face with it. And it's tough. It really is. And on top of that, if I'm going to give you guys total transparency, I'm going to be completely honest with you, with the hopes that I'm not going to get any judgment. There have been quite a few times over the last 2 years, with all the strain of everything going on, with having the 2 kids and my PMDD and my son's behavior issues, even though he's a really good boy, it's just some things that need to be tweaked. There have been times where my husband and I have been like, do we need to get a divorce to make things better? Is it no longer serving our algorithm for happiness to stay together? So yeah, it's been a journey. It really has. We're okay right now. I mean, you know, the thing about life and the thing about being a mother and the thing about, just change and things like that is that I feel like we're constant works in progress. Whether you have kids, you don't have kids, you get a new job, you move away, there's so much going on in my life that I'm constantly forced to take a step back and question it all, and really reevaluate myself. And I think that's a crucial part of growth as a person. You know, we are trying to move down south in the next year. My husband just recently got a new job, and my mother and I made up, but you know what? It's like that crumply piece of paper that you crumple up, like it's nice and crisp and clean and straight, and it's beautiful and perfect. And then when you crumple it and try to smooth it out, no matter how many times, it's never going to be the same. And over the last 2 years, that's where I've been at. I mean, I've been struggling. Part of the reason why I wanted to make this as well is because it was just recently World Mental Health Day, and there is not enough support around mental health. There's such a stigma around it. And what I've been suffering with, PMDD on top of anxiety, that's mental health. PMDD is mental health. It's a hormone imbalance. I can't control it. I've been, like I said, for 2 years trying to think like, oh, if I just think positive, it'll go away. And suffering because I didn't want to take birth control or I didn't want to take a medication. And finally, I just broke down a few weeks ago and said, look, you need to go on the pill. And the doctor already explained it to me. If you get things on the up and up where everything is good and you guys decide to have another baby, by all means, who cares if you're 38, you're healthy, go off the pill and try to get pregnant. So it's been tough. With my mom, I had started seeing a therapist for, I think, a lot of my unhealed stuff with her. And my mom really is a good person, but I also think that I wore rose-colored glasses a lot of my life to a lot of things that I think I chose not to see, but I always knew, like how controlling she was and just things like that. I'm not going to bash my mother. She's my mom. And you know what? It's a generational cycle that I have to break now with my kids because my grandmother, my mother's mother, taught her a certain way to be. She then put that on me, and I don't want to do that to my kids. That all being said, what I have learned through motherhood, through womanhood, through being an adult, is that you can only give what you have and you can only teach what you know. So that's why my husband and I have decided to get into therapy. We're going to do a little bit of marriage counseling, but I'm also going to go for me because, one of the most crucial things I've learned about being a mom is that I can't be the kind of mom I want to be if nobody modeled that for me. So if I don't have a positive example in every single way, shape, or form to follow, and only a couple positive things, I'm not going to be able to be the best mom I could be. So it's tough. It's tough. And then you tack on hormonal imbalance, marriage problems. And I will say, just for the record, my husband and I have no marriage problems as far as like we're cheating on each other and we're bar hopping every night. No, it's, the strain of having children. I don't care how badly you want children or you plan for children. Children are tough on even the strongest marriages. I'm going to say that. I said what I said. It's not an infringement upon my kids. It's not me saying, I wish I never had kids. I couldn't even breathe without my kids. Are you kidding me? But I'm going to tell you something. Having babies is hard. It's hard. And now I'm this person where I'm not who I was 2 years ago or 4 years ago. I feel like the center of my universe is my family. So I've kind of lost myself along the way. And that's a tough pill to swallow when you had such a sense of who you were and, whatever. I've kind of lost myself. And that's okay because my children are 1,000% worth it. And I would choose them over and over and over. And I don't even want to start crying because I love them so much. But I would choose them over and over and over again. But it's tough when you have your own stuff that you're battling. So that's where I've been for 2 years. And on a brighter side, I have decided to start a podcast about motherhood. So it could be for moms, but anybody could listen. I think I'm going to make another video when I do my ASMR comeback with the ring light and the backdrop and this and that. I'm going to give a little life update as well in that video. And I'm going to go into further detail about the podcast because I think I'm going to need some help and some guidance, maybe from you guys. If anybody is skilled in the podcast department, try and figure out a way to email me or in the comment section, give me your email, anything. Because it's going to be some really exciting stuff. And we're going to talk about a lot of really good stuff and really hard stuff and really sad stuff. But I want to reach moms from all over the world and just connect with them and just be honest, and have a really nice platform where even women can go and just kind of be like, okay, I like this bitch because she tells it like it is and she doesn't sugarcoat it. Maybe we'll have some laughs along the way. So yeah, it's been, if you're still with me after this kind of soft-spoken ramble, it's been a rough 2 years. Little by little every day, I'm getting better. It's tough. It really is tough. And it's really tough being a mom and knowing that if your kids are struggling, it's because of you. I'm not one of those moms, and again, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I will never be one of those mothers that says, well, my kids are this way because of this, and make excuses for them. If my son has behavior issues, it's because of the strain that he's seen in his home, and none of it is abusive or anything like that. But kids tend to feed off their parents' emotions, and if he has seen me, I think, a little impatient or having a sad day or a bad day or whatever, even though I'm completely fulfilling my mom duties, my son is very intuitive. I think that that's part of it. I think another, issue for him is the fact that I love my daughter more than anything, but she's happy to a fault. They feed off each other, the two of them. If my son starts screaming his head off, she starts screaming her head off. And I hate to say this, but a lot of bad habits, like the tantrum throwing and stuff like that, she's learning from him. So I have 2 little monsters times 2 on the bad days. My husband works 12-hour days, and I'm grateful that he has a job that allows me to stay home. So I try really hard to keep the mentality blessed, not stressed, and you're able to stay home when half of the population needs 2 working incomes, and I'm grateful. We're not rich by any means, but we're comfortable, and we're caught up on our bills, and we're just a regular, average, middle-class family. But that's what makes me sad too, is that on days where I feel like, I'm just losing my shit, I feel like, okay, I should be blessed though, because we know we do have 2 healthy kids, and we do have a pretty solid marriage, even though we've come up on our share of issues. So yeah, it's tough. It's been rough. And, I just want to encourage all my mom friends out there. Somebody sent me a quote that said, the fact that you worry if you're a good mom already means you are one. And I just try to give myself grace. I try to give myself a break the same way I would give any of you lovely women a break if you came to me and were like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, it's this. I try to give myself a break. Nobody is perfect. No parent is perfect. No child is perfect. No family is perfect. And if anybody on social media makes you think that they're perfect and they have a white picket fence and 2-point whatever children and a golden, fuck them, because it's just a bunch of bullshit. Nobody's perfect. And, we're all struggling. I think we all struggle with bills Whether you're a mom or you're not a mom, or you're just human trying to keep your head above water in today's America, I mean, it is what it is. We're all struggling, and we all have unhealed wounds and traumas, and it just so happens that mine have been amplified because I'm a mom. And, I have 2 little people that are depending on me, and I want them to be well adjusted in life. And I'm struggling with my own stuff right now. So it's like, how do I be the best version of me for them when when I feel like I'm standing in quicksand, you know? So it's really, like I said, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'll be fine. It's just been a really rough 2 years. And it's sad to say, because I really thought that I thought that the wave of kind of drama and hard times would pass as my daughter got older. But like I said, quicksand, it seems to be kind of staying the same. But the silver lining is we have a lot of good days. And every night when I put my son to bed, my daughter just turned 2, so she doesn't really understand me to have a conversation with her, but my son does. And if I was impatient that day or snapped at him, I just try to say, like, I'm sorry. Mommies and daddies have big feelings too. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. And that's one thing that I just want to leave you guys with, especially my mom friends. Don't ever lose sight of trying. Because I'm going to tell you, 9 times out of 10, I fail every day. But every night I go to bed saying, I'm still going to freaking give it my all tomorrow. I'm still going to do it. And I might fail tomorrow, but I'm still going to keep trying. And I think that that's such an important attitude to have, especially in motherhood, because you will never fail your kids if you keep trying to be the best version of you. And the bonus is that you'll probably find some pretty cool stuff about yourself too, that you like, or that you can fix, or you can change. So yeah, that's where I've been, guys. Just drowning in my quicksand, in my ocean. And I'm really, really glad I got this off my chest. To be honest, I probably I don't want to say I sugarcoated it, but I probably wasn't as blunt as I could have been with some of the crap that's really been going on, and how crappy I've really been feeling. I didn't lie. I'm not going to go into total chaotic detail, but it's getting better. And like I said, every day above ground is a good day. Be kind to each other. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some grace. The same way you'd give a new mom friend, or an overwhelmed mom friend, or a girlfriend, or a friend. Just give yourself some grace. And I promise I will explain more about the podcast in my actual real live face showing ASMR video, but just give me a little more time and I'll be back soon. Have a wonderful night, guys, and thank you for joining me.